Hello ladies and gents, Michael Burhan here from nerdgenius.com and also the Dacemanshow, and I'm here with the Hulk himself, Mr. Lou Ferrigno.
How are you today?
I'm great. You know, this is, as I said before, this is a very weird situation for me, especially being it brings me back to my whole 5-year-old childhood when I was afraid of you. So this is kind of my ideal moment. It's me kind of trying to conquer my fears.
I hope your parents don't hate me for that.
My dad was always like, "Oh, don't be silly. You know, just go in there. It's fine.
Go in there."
Yeah, go in.
Don't like he's putting you in there.
Go watch The Green Man. You know. I want to ask you like a couple of questions from like my perspective and in terms of your career. You've had a very large impact in terms of like the superhero industry, in terms of the film industry, because you kind of broke your bread like before guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger in a sense, and you've had a very constant career. So in terms of the way you had things done before, like with the Hulk, it was all kind of prosthetics and makeup and stuff. And in terms of the CGI Hulk they have now, do you see like a big change? Do you think it's a good change, or is it like kind of a bad change for you?
CGI works on the movie screen because you got all the characters that have to work because it has a human Hulk. I think it'll never be duplicated again. In my time, it was great because you can't compare CGI to the human Hulk. Even though I do the voice, but I know how he thinks and feels. So different because on the big screen, it's much more computer generated.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, and I think they kind of have their own uses in a sense. And there's one thing you can attest to with the current version of the Hulk. You've had a couple of guys like play it, and you've had a few cameos of yourself in those movies, but no one's really stuck, apart from like Mark Ruffalo, for instance, in the Avengers movies. But you had a whole series and feature film centered around your character. Why do you think it remained so consistent?
Because it had nothing to do with drugs and sex and violence. Every show had a message. It could be depression, it could be kidnapping, it could do with every phase of life. And it's a beautiful story, and you learn something from each episode. And it go on forever, like The Twilight Zone, like Star Trek. It's one of those icon series that'll never be duplicated, but it has that longevity that even myself, when I watch it, I learn something from each show because it's like a message.
I agree with you on that. And in terms of like your training, because I know that you've come from a huge bodybuilding background, but when you went in to do that show, when you went in to kind of play that character, did you have any training as an actor, or did it come naturally?
No, and I took Panama came naturally for me because I know how the Hulk thinks and feels from my life and reading the comic book. And I knew because if they put the makeup on, they made me up, and I said to myself, how would I make this character believable? And I realized that the key was the sensitivity, that children will love it, because every one of us, sometimes we have days we feel like ugly and angered. So we relate to the Hulk, so I knew that sensitivity would make children love it. Because every time you have a villain, a monster, you always love those monsters. Like Frankenstein, even though he was evil, but you can't help loving him because there's a connection.
There's a lot of parallels between the two characters as well. And, you know, a last question. You were in King of Queens. A lot of people don't know this, but you were in King of Queens, and you had a very kind of long-lived career in there. How did you remain so consistent? Because I believe you started as a supporting character, and then they kind of rolled you in on the next season.
Well, I did a movie with Dom DeLuise and Rodney Dangerfield. So one night the producers were watching the film. They said, why not have Lou to play a guest spot as a neighbor? And because it went off so well, they made me a recurring role for 7 years. And I said to myself, play myself, wow, I can't believe it. And then after that, I did the movie I Love You, Man. That was hysterical. So, you know, I just love doing the comedy.
You found a new niche in it, in a sense. Is there any like future comedies you're going to be in?
Yes, I just filmed a big feature film a month ago here in England called Purges of Thrones. That's a comedy of Game of Thrones. I play the role of Ned. Very, very funny. A hell of a spoof.
So what differentiates this one from like all the other spoofs that have been out there? Is there a difference?
It kind of like, you know, when Star Wars came out, you had Spaceballs. You got the series Scream. And this one, because now that Game of Thrones at its peak, you can see all the characters now in the comedies from point of view. I would like to star the film, but when you see me, you'll never think I'm the same person in the film.
Well, that's great. I'll make sure we check out for that. And Lou, it's been a pleasure. You know, is there anything that you want to say to our fans? Any message you want to put out there for people? Because you're a great positive person. Got anything inspirational?
Yeah, I want to say be consistent, be nice to yourself, be nice to other people, take care of yourself. You only live once. Eat good, sleep good, and train good, and you got to make it.
So there you go. Lou Ferrigno, everybody.
Don't be scared anymore.
And there's one other thing I want you to do for me. I've got a friend called Dave Wade, and he wants to basically, he has a catchphrase called Sexy Biscuits. So can you look at the camera and go, Dave, this is Lou Ferrigno, Sexy Biscuits.
And what did I think?
It's like, Dave, this is Lou Ferrigno, Sexy Biscuits. So it's sexy, S-E-X-Y, biscuits, as in biscuits that you eat. Do you want to give it a try?
Yeah, hi Lou Ferrigno, Dave. Are you listening? Sexy biscuit.
Perfect.